Mia Struthridge, it's New Jersey again. I just want to say thank you to all of you. I know you worked really hard. I think that I'm very optimistic as far as the shelter going forward, and I think there's some people here that are really invested in seeing it happen and happen the right way. And for that, I want to say thank you. Thanks for all the time you put into it. I think that the plan is a good starting point. I haven't obviously had time to read or digest it either, but I certainly think it's, that being said, 90% there, and it's versus tweaks. And I think that any criticism you get should be looked at as constructive criticism, which is always a good thing. To address Mr. Osceola's comments about towns falling off or not being committed, Plainsboro or whatever, I just wanted to point out, if you're not getting that revenue in, you also are not having some of the expenses that would be associated with that contract as well. So it's not just that revenue not coming in, there is an offset to that on the other side of the equation as well, that should be considered. And again, like any business, like you talked about earlier, it takes time to get up and running. And I think that, things should be, will have to be tweaked in the early days as you go, with experience like any business. Nothing is going to be perfect right off the hop, but the important thing is that your goal is what it is, and that's focused on, and that is the focus, and that things move forward in a positive direction. I had a couple questions about pet retention programs. I know in the past, animals were held, there was no emergency rush to put them on Pet Finder or Facebook or any kind of lost and found thing. The longer they sat in the shelter, the more revenue that generated from the towns who they were picked up from, which I just think is abusive to the service for the towns you contract to. I think it's an abusive service and unfair to the pets and to the homeowners, and to the pet owners and the taxpayers as well. So I was wondering what kind of pet, what kind of, is there going to be somebody who's going to do that right away when they come in, the first day they come in, are they going to be put up on Pet Finder? Is there going to be someone that?
Yeah, it's gonna be a combination. We're gonna have somebody, keep everything, the website up to date, Instagram, Pet Finder, every page that's out there right now.
Because these fees are flat fees too, they are charged, so they won't have that same per day. Like in the past.
Somebody that would be doing the fundraising, right, Pete? Fundraising and also the website.
But what I'm saying is, that you won't, the money, the dogs wouldn't be generating any money from the towns additionally anyway if they sat there. It's on per day, like in the past they got paid, it was extra, $50 a day or whatever it was, or however much it was per day that the dog was, or cat was, right, because it's a flat fee now, right, so that kind of stuff, although the add-ons to those towns won't exist. So there will be no incentive to not post them as soon as possible. It would be the opposite,
Which is one of the other things too, that some of the people that we spoke with they did like the fact that you were now, if that was your $3 per capita, unless the next census comes out and says you have 50,000 more people, that's gonna be your bill going,
And I think that's fair, I think that's
so
excellent.
there's no add-ons,
There's a lot of room for abuse with those add-ons. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that there was or it wasn't, but there is a lot of room for abuse and padding numbers and a lot of question marks then for the towns for their budgets, towns that you contract to. So I do think that is a good thing, and it's probably more fair too. I mean, some towns are paying 30 cents per capita. I would be really pissed if I was paying on the higher end per capita if it was my town and find out that some other towns were contracting to with 30 cents per capita. I think I'd be a little bit upset.
Well, that was part of the digestion piece of it, or at least the municipalities that we dealt with, was that when you gave them what the average is, which was $3.50 or $4 per capita, and we were coming in at $3, it was still more than they were paying, but still less than they're gonna pay.
And I think some of those towns really weren't aware of what they actually were paying. They were aware of what their bid was and what their original contract price was, but the way, the municipality worked, whatever, then those bills would come in, those monthly bills from Helmetta would come into their towns, and their administrator or whoever, paid them, but no one was necessarily aware of the additional expenses that original contract fee. So, for instance, maybe the towns like Plainsboro who are thinking of dropping off or what have, they need to look at it within their own house what they paid on top of that original fee, and how far different is it from what you're asking for now, you follow what I'm saying? Because it does seem a lot of, I think Amber ran into that experience in one town when she was, went to get Oprah's, where they had no idea that they were, that there were all these extras, like, I bet you that's probably true for most, if not all, of the towns that were in those contracts. They probably have no idea how much their extras added up to.
$2,000 mistakes, they were saying they picked up 20 dogs instead of 2, or maybe it was an accident.
And
but
no one even picked up on it.
No
They
one
just paid
knew
the bill.
until I went over there and I had to go.
So that's that's a selling point, as well as, a thing that they should look at as for, to compare in an economic sense for their budget. The other thing I want to say is, again, I'm going to touch back on the no kill, the whole thing. And Pete said something about it's not going to be a rescue. In the past, back in the day, shelters were basically catch and kill. Pick up your arm. That's like back in the day. We're in the 21st century now. You don't have to, just because you're not doing high killing doesn't make you a rescue per se. You're a shelter. You're providing shelter for these animals until they get where they're going. A sanctuary is where animals that are aggressive, that's what happens. That's like a true no-kill, is a sanctuary. No one's asking you to be a sanctuary. No one's asking you to be a rescue.
I just want that to be out there, because whenever the mayor responds to me, her response is, well, you're rescue that you're gonna open and bankrupt the town.
I
So-
saw her, I saw her comment on the SPCA, that they wanted, they're recommending a rescue, that's not a rescue. A rescue is not, she's, yeah. And she's just not right. She's just gonna be, she got you into this situation. She built the shelter, it was her idea. She picked it, she thought it was a money-making idea, and you're stuck with it now. You have a building there, and you have a bond that's to be paid. So somebody's gotta get you out of the mess now. And, she created it, it was her idea, and then she further created the disaster by failing to recognize the problems that existed and stepping up and addressing them, instead of denying them and protecting people. And, there was, makes you wonder what was there that made, what was in that relationship that made her put all these things, the taxpayers, the performers, the council aside, and instead of just looking at the problem and taking the intermediating, that she had to deny it and fight all this. And it's just ridiculous, it spiraled. I mean, this turned into so much more than any of us ever thought, ever, because of the mayor.
It's supposed to be job
Because
security
her
for his
actions or
son.
inactions, or whatever you want to say. So I'm just gonna say, she created this, and unfortunately now, you guys gotta deal with it. You too, Benny. Plainsboro or no Plainsboro, it's like, it's gotta either open or not. There's no in between. So, you can save this. You have an opportunity now to really save face for Helmetta as a town. I don't live here. I know you guys do, so I'm sure, something that would benefit you. I mean, no one wants to live in a town that's, got a bad connotation to it. It's not good for your town, it's not good for your property values, it's not really good for anything. So I think there's a really good opportunity for you guys to do that. I mean, you could really, instead of going from zero, become a hero. And the way Nancy Martin's going, Helmetta's gonna just cease to exist on the map, period. She's gonna be the mayor who, eliminated the town, and that's unfortunate, Helmetta was a quaint little, the smallest town in the state. It's not gonna take much to sink it, and hopefully that snuff mill isn't gonna be the next disaster. But anyway, I'm not gonna go there. So the other thing I was gonna suggest is pet retention programs. If someone comes in, I don't even know the numbers. I think I've asked, and you really didn't have a hold on that, what the owner surrenders were at the shelter, I asked. But if someone comes in to turn in a pet, why? Why are you getting this pet? And if there's something that can be done to help them. Sometimes it's senior citizens on fixed income that needs medical care that they just simply can't afford. They feel they have no other options. Or, many different things, having a baby. There's ways to help, help people with these things resources that are available that they are not aware of, or maybe not equipped to try themselves, they need some, you know, guidance or someone to show them how these methods work or whatever, that will help them keep their pet. And that's one less getting into the shelter. Also the ACOs, they pick up an animal in the neighborhood, it's wearing a collar, it's clearly belongs, why not knock on a few doors? Does anybody know, keep the dog from even going into the shelter. Granted, that's like, you're not gonna get a redemption fee, or whatever you call it, reclaiming fee, whatever, but you will save money you'll save money on the pet as well. Just, the owner may not come forward for a few days or whatever, then you're vaccinating or you're still feeding and caring, and it's also a cage that is occupied that you may need for another animal that you can't find the owner for. So, it's not a good, and it's also a good community thing, for an ACO to, it shows. I think if you hire caring people, getting back to what Amber was saying, about, what's in the job description or having, it may not be your job to clean that toilet bowl, but it needs to get done, and, I think when people like what they're doing, and you have a good group together, people will tend to step up and do what's needed more readily than, coming to work just because it's their job and just doing, they wanna just do what is in that handbook. I think, it's a team is the focus here. And that is by Nikki Dawson, and she does not have, she's from, American Humane Association. They are HSUS, people think PETA is great. These are organizations that don't want us to have pets, really, ultimately. They think that domestic animals just shouldn't be. PETA would love domestic animals ownership wiped out altogether. They are the highest kill of any organization there is. They kill 98% of what comes into their hands. And they literally have their extremist people riding around neighborhoods who will steal dogs if they see, and they'll euthanize them right in those vans. And this is, I'm not making this up, this is not exaggeration, this is fact. PETA is horrible. If anybody here donates to PETA, please don't. Or do your research first, I'll say that. And give locally to the Helmetta shelter instead. That's that. I think that a job description handbook though is absolutely the way to go. You don't know what your employee turnover is gonna be. It's just, something that is a good, somebody knows what they're getting into before they sign on. So if they're not prepared for that, then they shouldn't sign on. The floors in the cat room upstairs, I think that's awesome that they don't have to be done right away. And I don't see why, you guys, isn't there a newsletter, Helmetta newsletter, or Helmetta? Some of the stuff should be put out there, in there. And I bet you there's residents who, this is their occupation, contractors, whatever, who may be willing to donate. Some may donate supplies, some may be willing to donate the labor. And then they also can get recognition for that business in return. So advertising is expensive for businesses. I know, I'm self-employed. So that, that can go a long way. And I don't know, if you do set up a 501 component, friends of, probably if it went through that, they could also write it off on the taxes as a donation. Businesses or contractors or whatever they donated. So that would probably, it's almost like they get free advertising, recognition, and tax write-off at the same time. I don't know, I think that's a bonus. I would probably go for that. And let's see. So I think I pretty much addressed what I was able to digest from the plan. The council meeting. I know that we're moving forward, and I think that's great, and I really do want to keep my focus on that part, but there are some things from the past that are still lingering. Michael and Richie are facing charges still, blah, blah, blah. So there's still some shelter issues that have to be cleaned up. I heard that Brandon is now suing the township because he was, whatever, he was hassled on his job. I don't know if there's truth to that.
Had to leave because of hostile work environment.
Yeah, hostile work environment, he had to leave.
I don't think there's any suit filed on him.
Rumor has it, heads up, you guys, I don't know if there's truth to that, but hostile work environment, I don't know, maybe he just held too many hats, he couldn't hack the pressure, I don't know. People make reference to the reform group threatening and this and that. That's not true. The body bag thing that Michael was saying in the locker room, I mean, there are video. It's been reviewed. We've opened some. We've seen video. Where is it on there? We've had Mayor making statements like this, or repeating things that her employee said, without verifying it first, and those are some serious things, saying that, reformers were in the building that he got let in, and people were yelling. I wasn't in the building, I wasn't one of them, but I've seen the videos. People were saying size her up for a body bag and whatnot. It never happened.
No,
Never happened.
everybody knows they are one size fits all. Why would you need to size that? That's how stupid she is.
All right, but look at the videos, because it didn't happen.
Come on, be realistic.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Rooting through paperwork and files didn't happen. That was an excuse to divert the responsibility of that, because they did that. You can see what the people come in the building with and leave with. The only person leaving with files is Richard. And it's clearly visible. He's got a duffel bag. No one questioned what was in his duffel bag. He's got a file folder under his arm. No one questioned what was in the file folder. We did not, I just want to make this clear, we did not steal paperwork out of that, or files out of that shelter. We never verbally threatened bodily harm, death, body bags, or anything else on any person. Okay? And anything that's ever been said has pretty much been said right here. When, unfortunately she's not here now, but right to her face. She knows how we feel about her. I mean, and review the videos. If you think we're lying, review the videos. The videos will show you where we were threatened, where we had, which ACO was it? Who was it? What was hosing, went to hose everybody down?
Oh, that was Moriarty, but he wasn't an ACO, he was a.
Oh, volunteer. Shelter volunteer, whatever. And he was gonna throw the signs away too.
Was he an employee?
And he was gonna throw
Obviously,
the,
he didn't read the manual unless that's in there.
and he was gonna throw the signs away too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they were gonna threaten to put the hoses on us. We were peacefully demonstrating. And he grabbed the hoses, the police had to be called, and the police actually stopped him from doing that, and stopped him from throwing away our rickety signs that were on the ground as extras.
Actually, he threatened to kill everybody with a gun.
Oh, yeah, he actually, and that, yes, and that is on video. So the threats came to us, because Nikki Dawson has even said that employees, I don't know where all these employees felt threatened. I think this was Nancy Martin, and this was some others, Michael and Richard, twisting things. I mean, we tried to do everything as peaceful as possible, and to the degree that when Nancy Martin started blaming shelter adoptions dropping off because people didn't want to come to the shelter because we were protesting there, we moved the protest to town hall. Okay, so that they couldn't say that. We moved it to this address. All right, it was our choice to close the shelter on Saturdays. It was our choice. These are things that Nancy Martin did. Again, instead of just, we love animals. We were here to do good. We're here to help. She just turned it into a battle. She turned it up as far as I see it. Had she just looked at what we were saying and addressed it, things could have went a whole lot different. You guys, none of us would be sitting here and having this discussion. So that's that. The last thing I want to address is in one of our upper requests, this came back. This is a government ethics law financial disclosure statement, and it has business by Vast Logistics, which I believe is Mr. Espola's, and the address is Nancy Martin's address, 9 Old Ford Road, Helmetta. I'm just curious as to what the relationship is there, why any business is listed with Nancy Martin's address.
I could answer it. It was an honest mistake because I helped him fill it out, and when I scrolled down on it, her address was there, and his was instead of hers.
There's honest mistakes, really, in Oprah?
Well, I try and do everything honestly. I can't speak for those that help
Are
me.
you gonna look me in the face?
Yes, I am, because I have
Dear
people, I'm not
God.
gonna argue.
I'm still waiting for my minutes from December, but
Okay, so then when the shelter
right,
is
all right.
up and running, you'll be 100% transparent, you'll actually give me the paperwork, right? Doubt.
Anybody else from the public want to speak?